Alright, look. I've tried to record this a few times. I'm gonna try it again. I don't care. The quality was so bad. It can't, it kept shaking and moving around. But this is the final one. So, Deji, this situation it's a terrible situation. It's being blown out of proportion by the courts, by the woman, by everyone. And it's terrible. It's terrible that this is happening and being allowed to happen. But I can't change at this very second how the courts decide to handle things. I can't change that at this very second. And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate something like this would ever happen and that an animal is being treated as a wild, rabid, horrible, gonna murder everyone animal when there's no evidence to back it up. It's terrible. It is one of the worst. It's like a rape accusation when no evidence is brought to the table. Like happened at Doan, I think it was, no, it was, what was it? It doesn't matter. At University of Virginia and somewhere else. But in this case, I'm pretty sure Deji knows and knew. He didn't know something like this would happen, but I'm sure he knew back whenever 2 years ago that would be 2018. I'm sure he knew 2 years ago that no one cared about animals. No one does. In a court, they don't care how long you've been with this animal. They don't care how much time or evidence you have that this animal would never act like this. So they wouldn't even. You show a picture of a butterfly on their nose. They wouldn't even hurt a fly, and this person is coming out and saying they tried to maul someone, and the court doesn't care. They don't. It's unfortunate. I can't change it at this second. I want to change it. I really want to. But I would also know that if I was in this situation, I would never even think about letting something like this even get close to where it's got. I would never want it to start in the first place, and that's why I would always be sort of near my animal, or the animal. I don't like to say my, it's just, the point is I would never sort of let a situation sort of smolder or sort of burn up and start just because I didn't decide to sit outside with my animal or with the animal that day. And I know Deji might not be like that, but I'm sure he knew that something like this could happen, and at least in the way that it could be blown out of proportion in and they could spin it as if the dog were some rabid animal when really it bit a woman. As far as I know, it bit a woman that was messing with it, sort of swatting at it, messing with Tank, and he and she was on their property, and Tank bit her, and as far as I know, she's still alive, and it didn't do terrible damage to her. Otherwise, Tank would have been probably put down less than 2 years ago. And it's unfortunate that society's the way it is. People don't care about animals. They think of them as objects less than living creatures. But you gotta work around that. I always see it in these alien overlord, fucking cyborg overlord movies. I'm not saying everything is like a movie, but what I'm saying is there's always these horrible rules, these terrible regulations that everyone has to follow, and no one likes them at all. But they know how to go through them and sort of follow them to keep something bad from happening or escalating. And I don't agree that everything on this is Deji's fault. A good deal of it isn't his fault. but it is his fault for knowing that a core a play a no one cares about animals and no one wants to give them a chance. It's his fault for knowing that and still choosing to, like, I don't know. It's just when something like this could happen, you can't take any chances. And it's unfortunate. It means your animal can almost never be outside because you can never trust whether there's a Karen outside that's willing to bolster a situation up to, oh, this dog attacked me and no one was out there, so no one saw. She is the only eyewitness, and she's also the victim. And the courts don't want to see it as anyone else, but the dog is responsible for the things that happened. And they only want to blame. Oh, God. Well, I hope that wasn't too annoying. Anyway, they don't want to care about anyone. They don't care how much time you spent with this animal. They don't care how many years you've seen this animal. Oh, they'd never do something like this. They don't care. It's unfortunate, but they don't. They just don't give a damn. And you gotta know that and sort of not have that be your only evidence. While it's good, dare I say phenomenal evidence of why that animal is not some horrible gonna kill a kid dog, you gotta know that the courts, in this case, the court couldn't give less of a shit how much time you've spent with the animal. They couldn't care. All they care is, oh, there's documents that say this, documents that say that, and typed out on fucking Microsoft Word, and that's all they care about. They care about maybe possibly real evidence in the case of animals, because they believe it shouldn't be taken as seriously as a case that has to do with a human. And I'm not trying to go into any sort of fucking debate video right now of whether humans or animals are more valuable than each other. I don't fucking care about that right now. But the court does not value a case about an animal the same that they would value, or they don't take it as seriously. And it's a joke. It really is. But you gotta know that something that they don't care. You gotta know that. And you gotta sort of not have that be your only form of evidence. And I was gonna talk about, I guess let's do it still. I'll make this a sort of double video. I was gonna talk about this originally when I thought Deji was more at fault for this than he was. He's still to some degree at fault for not being prepared and for a situation this bad while knowing something like this, that this bad could happen. And I wanted to talk about sort of these videos that Spudley made one. I'll talk about that. I'm not trying to talk about the drama that's going on in the zombies community right now. What I'm talking about is the example of his response video to everyone giving him hate for him giving hate to someone else while he was goddamn drunk. And he's talking about, oh, people say so many mean things about me. And yes, I know that can drive people to do horrible things. Someone suffering with depression can get killed because they simply can't take it anymore from people talking shit or saying mean things to them. And it's not good that things like that happen every day. I myself suffer from depression, but you don't give a shit about that. The thing is, being sorry for something bad that happened doesn't make that bad thing go away. If you're sorry for a mistake you made, that's great. That's phenomenal. That means you accept that a certain part of it was your fault. But saying you're sorry doesn't fix what you did. It doesn't. Doesn't make you right. Doesn't make everyone else wrong. Doesn't fix anything. And I think that's the thing that these YouTubers like Smudley sort of believe, is that when they say they're sorry, well, some people did immediately go, oh, we should all feel ashamed of ourselves just because he said, oh, I made a mistake, I'm sorry. It's great. If you're genuinely sorry, that's great. But that doesn't fix what you did. And that doesn't make everyone who's sort of not liking you worse. And he talked about how Tim Hansen was saying, oh, mean things about me on the internet. Fucking grow up. Okay? Unfortunately, anyone can say anything on the internet, and no, unless you're like a high watched YouTuber, no one's gonna care no one's gonna be able to find you. No one's gonna know who you are. No one's gonna ever see you again. No one cares. And it's unfortunate, but that's what happens when you have all this great stuff. The unfortunate thing is that people can use this to their advantage. And it sucks. But it happens to everyone. You're not special. You're not different. You're not a special case. It happens to everyone. Get over it. Seriously. This happened with Alinity. It's originally what I thought Deji was doing, but I've since changed my opinion, and I still don't know. Maybe I was originally right, and there might be some crazy fucking thing where Deji's lying to us. But as far as I know, Deji's telling the truth. That all this is happening. And to a certain degree, he's at fault for letting something like this get that out of hand. And just not letting Tank out in the backyard. Or because at least if she was in the backyard, it could have been that's not even front yard, like sidewalk property. She actively went in there. And I'm not saying this makes the woman in question right, but I'm saying that it makes Deji to a certain degree wrong for letting something like this happen. And again, he could have never imagined something like this would happen, but he could have prevented it by. Sometimes you can't have faith in the people you really want to believe are good. And it sucks. But you gotta know the people to have faith in, and the people to sort of take precautions for. And this woman is one of the people you take precautions for. You make sure your animal is away from her, so that if she goes to the police and says your animal attacked her, and your animal's been and fucking Joey, whatever you want to name your dog, whatever your dog's name is, it has been sleeping upstairs for the past 3 hours, and she's saying she just got bit by him. She's lying, obviously. And if you have cameras, even better. This is why people have things like Scrubby had cameras when his neighbor was doing stupid things. He had them to make sure that his neighbor couldn't just come out and accuse him of some random shit that she didn't need, that in certain cases she wouldn't even need to prove for people to believe. He made sure his bases were covered. And the part that Deji's at fault for is not making sure his bases were covered. And he could never have... thought something like this would happen, but he could have prepared for it to happen, or never let it happen in the first place. That is the part that I feel like he is responsible for. It is horrible that the courts are not letting him even see Tank. It is horrible that they are not even letting... They're just giving out information that could be false made on fucking Microsoft Word. And the one bit of evidence that went and actually sort of contradicted them, they pulled out immediately, but the court acted like it was just fine. The part I believe, and people like fucking Lyrics say that, oh, it's his fault for not training his animal. His animal did nothing wrong. It, as far as I know, it was defending itself. And she was on their property. And say it wasn't. That doesn't make it right. I don't think Lyrics thinks it makes it right for Tank to get put down. But if we're talking about the possibility, which is most likely, that Tank was just sort of defending himself from some crazy lady that was on their property swatting at him with her hand, then training's not going to save this situation at all. It's really not. It's an unpreventable situation. And unfortunately, that's the way it is. And the parts I believe Deji should be blamed for is not making sure something like this would never happen. He's not at fault for not training Tank to not hurt people that are fucking hurting him. But he's at fault for not covering the bases that he knew. I guarantee he knew, even I knew back in 2018, no one gave a shit about animals. No one does. And some of the few people that do are either in the group of more passive, or they're in the group with PETA that they believe all humans should die. I guess that's my opinion on it. See ya.